The only new or additional documents that are in fact not new or additional, they are referenced in Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's statement to us, the original statement, MK16, MK27. They are really just handed to the committee and to Mr. Nkabinde for ease of reference, so that if and when we do refer to them, we have it handy and we don't have to look on our computers to find them. And the only, as it were, new documents, we have also handed out a copy of the full search and seizure application that was brought, you will recall, in the South Gauteng High Court to seize the devices of Minister Mchunu, Mr. Nkabinde. So those are the documents. And then there's an email exchange between Mr. Mkhwanazi and Mr. Nkabinde, which was copied to the committee last night already. I think we're still waiting for the printed copies. So other than that, here we are ready to proceed. I don't think any of the documents Mr. Nkabinde can confirm that's now been handed to him and to the honourable members. He's seen them. And either we've consulted about it or he has consulted his own lawyers about these documents. I don't think there's anything that will catch him by surprise. So if we may proceed. Mr. Nkabinde, we went through a few preliminaries and your appointment in particular, and your appointment is aligned with that of Minister Mchunu. And just to confirm, if you go to Annexure CMN1 to your statement, that is the letter that you send to a Brigadier Kemp, who's the section head of senior management and personnel maintenance, confirming Minister Mchunu's support staff, which assumed duty from the 1st of August. Your name is at the top. You see that?
That's correct.
Just so that we get this out of the way, I see next to digit 4, there is a Ms. Mkhwanazi, no relation.
Can you repeat that?
I say a Ms. Mkhwanazi Mantombi Kamagelo. There's no, it's not related to Brown Mkhwanazi.
No. No, she's not.
Thank you. Just in terms of your appointment, we know we had taken Minister Mchunu through this, so we don't have to spend any time on it. The position of Chief of Staff in particular is an important position of trust, and all ministers, cabinet ministers, are given a discretion to employ a chief of staff of their choice. But you still went through a process. Just describe that briefly.
Thank you, Chairperson. I addressed this issue on my paragraph 34, from 34,
Yeah.
on my statement. Paragraph 35. Minister Mchunu, after he was appointed, he's got a discretion in relation to the position of a chief of staff to nominate, whereby he nominated me in that position. And then the HR department subsequently took over the process, where minister does not get involved in that process. So HR department will then take over the process in terms of suitability, whether a person nominated by the minister is suitable, qualified, meet all the requirements, screening, and so forth, until the HR department will give back to the minister recommendation that the person that you nominated, he duly qualified, he passed all the screening, he passed all the assessments, relevant assessments. That's in summary, Chair, what happened.
And you deal with all of that from paragraphs 34 onwards in your statement. And you met all the relevant qualifications for the post?
I met all the requirements for the post, Chair.
Can you just take us to those qualifications?
Your microphone is far away.
Sorry, can you just take us to those qualifications which is at paragraph 13 on page 9?
Thank you, Chair. My relevant qualification, I hold a national diploma in policing. I also hold a BTech degree in policing, as well as a basic training certificate, which I've obtained in Bishop Police Academy. I also hold several of career development courses, which is detective learning program, sexual offenses investigation, crime administration system, and trained the trainer accredited as a detective, as a qualified detective trainer.
And just talk to us again briefly from paragraph 9 onwards, your experience in the South African Police Service and also in IPID.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My relevant experience, with my experience working in the South African Police Service, whereby in 2004 I started as a detective constable, which this role also included being a qualified detective trainer, where I was training detectives. During that time, my specialist in my training to the detective was the Criminal Procedure Act, criminal law, and law of evidence. In 2010, I was then got a promotional post as a captain, where I joined ICD, Independent Complaints Directorate, which is now known as IPID, which is Independent Police Investigative Directorate. Then subsequently in 2012, I was promoted as an assistant director. That is a position which I hold until I left and resigned from IPID in 2018. Then after I resigned, I took up a post in a private sector as a head of forensics, as a manager, which that is a position I held from November 2018 until the appointment as a chief of staff, which I resigned to join Minister Mchunu as a chief of staff. Thank you, Chair.
Now, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi told us that you were unemployed for a while, and he secured you a job or an appointment with a security company.
Chair, after I left IPID, which is subsequent from May 2018, which I sat at home, but during that time it was under suspension until September 2018, still sitting at home. That is when the dates subsequently I resigned. Then in November, General Mkhwanazi, he helped me, assisted me to find a job, which that's what friends are for, as he was my friend. So that is correct. He's correct that after some few months not employed, he's the one who assisted me to find a job from a private sector company. In the private sector company, we are having a different division. My role was to head a forensic division in that private sector company. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Just tell us a little bit, you mentioned your suspension, was that at IPID?
Yes, yes, yes.
What were the reasons for that suspension, and did you subsequently resign from IPID as a result of the suspension, or was there some kind of disciplinary process or inquiry?
Yes, Chair, if I address that in paragraph 28 on my statement. I left IPID in 2018 after a misunderstanding with the executive director of IPID, which was Mr. Robert McBride. This misunderstanding arose from where I blew a whistle. Where I blew a whistle, I submitted a report to the then Minister, General 𝐬𝐻𝐵𝐿𝐻𝐿, to blow that whistle, what was happening within IPID, where implicated Mr. McBride. Then when I submitted that disclosure to the then Minister 𝐬𝐻𝐵𝐿𝐻𝐿, subsequently my report was 28 April 2018. Then 25 May, the very same report ended up in the hands of Mr. McBride, which he got very upset with the content where the report was implicating him in particular and Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. Then in that report, Mr. McBride got so upset with me and he suspended me immediately because of that disclosure which I made to the minister. Then in September 2018, it was going to be my departmental hearing for what I was suspended for. Then during that time on my hearing, it was 19 September 2018. Before my departmental hearing commenced, Mr. McBride arrived in the venue. It was in Sandton. He arrived at the venue, which it was a shock to all of us that what McBride is doing in the hearing, because he's the executive director. Then subsequently, Mr. McBride had a long chat with his legal team representing IPID. Then after that, my legal team were called in, and then they informed me that Mr. McBride is proposing a settlement agreement, that my hearing should not continue. He will withdraw all charges against me, then I should resign. So that is part of our confidential settlement agreement, which I accepted. So I left IPID after entering into that settlement agreement, where all charges Mr. McBride was charging me, he withdrew. Then I entered into settlement agreement with the IPID. That's how I left IPID, Chair.
So you deal, well, not in the same detail that you've not done verbally, but you reference that at paragraphs 29 and 30 of your statement.
That's correct, Chair.
So the effect of that settlement agreement was to sweep your whistleblower report under the carpet, is it?
Yes, it was a negotiations. Then I had no choice than to accept the settlement agreement and walk away.
Okay. And the alleged conduct of Mr. McBride was also then never inquired into or investigated?
Subsequently to that, Chair, the former Minister 𝐬𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐻, subsequently he used my report as one of his reasons not to renew the contract of Mr. McBride. So my report was dealt with in the Portfolio Committee of Police, where they were deliberating the renewal of the contract of Mr. McBride. So my report was used in those deliberations why the contract of Mr. McBride is not going to be renewed. And it was also referred to the National Assembly, where they have to have a determination whether the contract of Mr. McBride should be renewed. So my report was used in that process, hence Mr. McBride hates me with passion as we speak. And Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. Thank you, Chair.
So that submission is not quite correct, that the effect of the settlement was to sweep your complaint about him under the carpet. It was subsequently used here in Parliament.
No, it's not correct. It was thoroughly ventilated, which consequently his contract was not renewed because of that report. And up to the extent that there were even criminal dockets that were registered, 2 criminal dockets that were registered. One was opened by a former Hawks boss of Gauteng, General Mokoteti, I think it's that surname. He opened a case of treason because of that report. And then there was also another second docket where Mr. McBride and Mr. Paul O'Sullivan and Mr. Sissogo, who is currently at IDEC, they were implicated in that report. And Mr. Paul O'Sullivan and Mr. McBride, subsequently, they were arrested. And in that docket, it was then said the IO needs to get a racketeering certificate. Then up until now, I think it's lying dust there with the NPA. Up until now, there's nothing happening. But they were arrested and subsequently waiting for a racketeering certificate through my reports against them. So there were criminal dockets. Subsequently, Mr. McBride contracts were not renewed because of that report, sir.
And subsequently, did you make a more or a formal statement to the investigating officer of the police who was now investigating this matter?
Yes, I'm a key witness in those dockets. I submitted a statement.
And according to your knowledge, the matter is still pending?
The matters are still pending.
Can we now move on to your relationship with Minister Mchunu? And you'll see that in your statement from paragraphs 18 to 30 and also 34 to 39.
SC, can I just check with Mr. Nkabinde? The matters that you say are still pending, are they part of the information that you reported to the then minister?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Now, you know by now, Mr. Nkabinde, that your relationship with Minister Mchunu has come under some scrutiny in this Honourable Committee in relation to your appointment as his Chief of Staff. Now, we rewind a bit to when you first met him. There were allegations that you assisted Minister Mchunu in relation to charges that were brought against him for defeating the ends of justice in relation to the murder of 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿ani Nkosi. Do you recall that?
Yes, I recall.
Can you recall what these charges were, and then subsequently what was your role?
Thank you, Chair. It was around about a year of 2017 where we received a complaint from Minister Mchunu at
That's
IPID.
IPID.
Yes. We received a complaint from Minister Mchunu. In that complaint, Minister Mchunu was complaining about a progress of a murder case of 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿ani. 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿ani was one of his security detail while he was a premier. That the murder of 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿ani, he's not happy with the progress, that there are always clues leading to the perpetrators, but the police are not taking that direction. And in fact, they now regard him as a suspect. So he said he feel that, or he suspect that there's an harassment by the police, which were the Hawks targeting him instead of pursuing the murder case. So he felt that there is something untoward the behavior of the police. Hence, he reported it in the ICD, since ICD were responsible for a conduct against the police. So that is a complaint we've received in IPID. That's how I got to know, but I will explain further until we got to him, we interviewed him and so forth, Chair.
The complaint from Minister Mchunu, at that time he was no longer the Premier of KZN and didn't hold any particular office.
That's correct, Chair.
And that is at CMN2.
I found it, Chair.
You found it?
Yes.
So, Mr. Nkabinde, we're not going to go through the whole complaint, but you'll see in the first paragraph, Mr. 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿ani Nkosi was shot dead in the evening of 17 July 2015 at Dumisani, Mackay village, also known as Mhlathuze village in Mpangeni in KZN. He worked at the office of the Premier at the time, serving in the security unit. So at the time when Minister Mchunu was the Premier of KZN,
That's correct, Chair.
this occurred. The case was then opened, but if you can just go to towards the end of the complaint letter by Minister Mchunu, he says in the middle of the page, a senior police officer, Shlongwane, I'm not sure of his rank, was later assigned to the case. I learned he found no reason. The court collapsed the case and got to a fresh start on the docket. During the period, I learned that fresh efforts were underway to get me arrested. Shlongwane was subsequently removed and the case was taken over by the then Hawks. Apparently, the Hawks got to the same mission where I was viewed as a suspect and were keen on the arrest. They held a meeting with a private investigator at some point, after which they were to work together. Since then, there is silence on the whole investigation on the deceased. Key puzzles on this matter, which are a source of grave concern, the abandonment of the case around the identified and arrested suspects, including the suspected trigger puller at 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐿 and the manner in which the whole case has been handled up to now. Lack of progress on the investigation on the murder despite so many investigators and investigations. So it seems to be the case that Minister Mchunu was complaining about the lack of progress on the investigation.
That's correct, Chair.
We understood from his evidence that at the time the DPP had already decided not to prosecute the matter or to prosecute him in the matter.
Chair, I think it's also important to elaborate the distinction because the DPP did not decline to prosecute a murder case. A murder case continued until the suspects were arrested and convicted and sentenced. So maybe I can give a brief summary of a defeating case. So after Minister Mchunu submitted this complaint to IPID, he's complaining about this police conduct. Subsequently to that, I was assigned to the docket to investigate that case, that complaint. Then during my investigation, including visiting the Hawks, because Hawks were the one dealing with the murder docket of Xolani, to try and ascertain about the complaint of Minister Mchunu. Then I then got to understand that there were a defeating the ends of justice case that it was registered against the police, which were working with a private investigator. The private investigator was appointed by Minister Mchunu. So there was a defeating the ends of justice that were registered, and subsequently, because the private investigator was hired by Minister Mchunu, subsequently Minister Mchunu was also a suspect in that defeating. Then when I go through all the documents, that defeating were already declined to prosecute by the DPP. By that time, it was 5 years ago. So now when I'm trying to figure out what is a valid reason now to reopen the case after the DPP declined, that is where we realized that there were no valid reason to reopen the case. So my investigation ended there, where I submitted a report and my recommendation to the Hawks that there is nothing wrong to reopen a case as long as they follow all legal prescripts, whereby there is any new evidence, there are any new information, and then they take it, the docket, back to the DPP to overturn the decision of that DPP. Those were my recommendation, that in fact, just follow the correct procedure, because the minister is feeling harassment. So just follow those processes. Where there is a need, the DPP will decide whether someone has to be accountable and so forth. So my investigation ended there. Up until now, I don't know what happened after that.
And what you described, Mr. Nkabinde, Mr. McBride, who's the executive director of IPID at the time, he had accompanied you to Minister Mchunu's house. Was he fully aware of the subsequent developments that you've described, and your recommendation to the Hawks that the investigation be discontinued?
Thank you, Chair. That visit It was at an initial stage before I even commenced with my investigation. So if I can just highlight, Chair, about that visit. We received a complaint head office in Pretoria about the complaint of Minister Mchunu. After we've received that report, that complaint, and the complaint was assigned to me. Then I had a duty now to go and visit the complainant to get more details. Because in the complaint letter, you will have to get more details and interview him thorough. So what happened at one stage, we were in KZN, and Mr. McBride was present in KZN for other work. Then Mr. McBride remembered about this complaint, which he assigned to me. Then he then said, we are here in KZN, let Soma go and meet and interview Minister Mchunu. Because Mr. McBride knew that that was an outstanding issue for me to go. And in fact, I'm the one who's supposed to go. Then Mr. McBride, then he said, no, let's go, I'll go with you. And then we went there, we interviewed him, then we done, and then Mr. McBride introduced formally to myself to Minister Mchunu. Then we exchanged numbers. Then this is Mr. Nkabinde, which I assigned your complaint to him. Going forward, he's the one who will liaise with you. So that's how that visit came about.
And just two questions arising from that. The one is that, or certainly at the time when you were with IPID, was that normal practice or usual practice for an investigator to visit a complainant to discuss the matter?
It is, even if when I was in the police, we are the one as service delivery. We have to go to the complainant.
And in this case, it was, even though he was now a former premier, wasn't a minister at the time, also a high-profile complainant.
Yes, I took it like that, why Mr. McBride is accompanying me. I took it in that level, that maybe it's a complaint from a high-profile person.
And Mr. McBride appeared to know Mr. Mchunu at the time?
Yeah, appeared to know each other.
And was Mr. McBride involved at any stage subsequent to your introduction to Mr. Mchunu and your further investigations and your report to the Hawks? Was Mr. McBride involved at all in?
No, he was never. He was never involved until I submitted a report to him. The report that I was alluding before.
Okay. And what happened to this private investigator? Is that normal practice or usual for? Well, at the time when he was appointed by Mr. Mchunu, he was a suspect. He was a suspect. He complained subsequently about the conduct of the Hawks. But as a suspect, to appoint a private investigator for what purpose would that have been? To work with the police, to make sure that the police or IPID is doing their work? Can you comment on that?
Chair, if I can make it clear on that one, Minister Mchunu was not a suspect. His bodyguard or a security personnel in his office was shot dead. He was not a suspect at all. And Minister Mchunu was not happy with the progress of the investigation. He had an interest in the case because his staff member has been murdered. So hiring a private investigator, it was out of that interest that the progress is very slow. Probably the private investigator, working with the police, he might share some more light. So not as a suspect.
Well, Minister Mchunu had complained if you look at the second page of his letter of complaint, he said, it's unnumbered, unfortunately. Hlongwane was subsequently removed, and the case was taken over by the then Hawks. Apparently, the Hawks got the same mission where I was viewed as a suspect.
Yes, that was basically his concerns, that his a staff member made a case. The progress is very slow. There are several clues for police to follow to the arrest of perpetrators, but they are not interested to do that. In fact, they now view him as a suspect. So he did not hire, but even though I was not there, but when I look through the documentations, he did not hire a private investigator as a suspect. He hired a private investigator as a person who's got an interest in the case with a slow progress in the investigation.
Well, as you know, the Hawks then viewed that as an attempt by Minister Mchunu to defeat the ends of justice by employing this private investigator, presumably to make the case go away.
Chairperson, that's not how even the defeating the ends of justice, when I peruse the docket, that is not how was registered. It was not registered on the basis of him hiring a private investigator. The defeating ends of justice emanates when the police from head office, which it was on the intervention of a former minister, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻. The police from head office working with the private investigator. Subsequently, they went to the police station and take back the deceased cell phone back to the deceased family. And then the IO in the Hawks, he viewed that they are disturbing his investigation. Even if there is nothing wrong to take a deceased property, but he viewed that it has to be done through him. That's how the defeating ends of justice emanated from. It was about that cell phone. And the investigating officer, when I read all the documentation in that docket, he requested them to bring back that cell phone, of which they did. So if you read the entry of the DPP, the reasons why he declined, because I also read those reasons. The reasons, one of the reasons is saying, one, there are no prospects of successful prosecution. And in law, there is nothing wrong to take the deceased cell phone back to his family. The third reason, which I was reading there, the third reason is that when the IO requested the phone to come back, because it means he was still going to do some investigation, there is no evidence showing that the cell phone were ever tampered with. So now the prosecutor said, I cannot prove the defeating, even if the problem is the cell phone and there is no evidence showing that was it ever tampered with. So it means no one here is showing an intention to defeat. So those are some of the reasons the DPP declined to prosecute that case, Chair.
Okay. Now you mentioned late Minister. Sorry, is it? Sorry. At the time, my apologies. It was Minister of Police 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻. I'm reading from the letter of complaint, where Mr. Mchunu says, I then took the initiative and called the then Minister of Police 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻 to request that he assigns 2 senior police officers from outside KZN to the case. He agreed. On the other hand, I approached a private investigator to assist on the matter. The two police officers and the private investigator met and agreed to work together. And then in the last paragraph, the private investigator informed me that seemingly I was viewed
Chair.
by the unit.
Chair, can the SC mind his mic? We're even struggling to follow him now. Was just looks away from his mic and talks a very low. We're struggling, Chair. Can he mind his mic, please?
See, it is the two of you behind the mic. So you need to help each other. That the mic is always directed to your mouth.
Mr. Nkabinde, did you hear what I read out in the Minister Mchunu's letter of complaint?
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah. He called the then Minister of Police. He had a private investigator appointed to assist in the matter. Two police officers and the private investigator agreed to work. And then he concludes and he says, the private investigator informed me that seemingly I was viewed by the unit in Pietermaritzburg as a suspect in the murder.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what Minister Mchunu was feeling, that instead of we are giving all the information and all the necessary clues, but there is no progress in pursuing those perpetrators. Instead, I'm now viewed as a suspect. That in that context, Chair.
So after your visit to him with Mr. McBride and your own investigations and your report to the Hawks, ultimately suspects were arrested and prosecuted and sentenced.
That's correct, Chair.
Then subsequent to that matter, that would have been concluded before your departure from IPID in 2018, is that correct?
That's correct, Chair. It was not a complex investigation.
Okay.
I finished it very quickly and submit a report. I was still there.
At that time, had you already met or known Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi?
Not at all. But it was during that time when General Mkhwanazi was introduced to me while I was in IPID.
Then, after after you left IPID in 2018, did you subsequently have any dealings with or interaction with Minister Mchunu?
I got to know Minister Mchunu in that basis. Then after that, I kept contact with him, even though it was not regularly. But he's a person that I kept contact with him as a person of a high profile. Once in a while, we do have to chat on some other general things, maybe 6 months, 8 months, but it was not regular. But I kept contact with him.
Why? What would have been your common interest to keep contact with
My
Mr.
common
Mchunu?
interest, Chair, this is I know this person as a premier, and I'm having now his direct contact with him. So he's a person I look up to as our high profile in the government, in politics. You only see these people on TV. Then once you have that, then I kept contact that now I know a premier
Nobody,
for the status. I know the premier. Like, for instance, here in this room, if I can get a number, I'll keep it. I'll keep it. These are high people I will look up to. You see them on TV. Now I've got a direct contact with that person.
but he was now a former premier in 2017 when you started your investigation as a IPID investigator. He was a former premier. And by the time you reported to the Hawks that the case should no longer, or recommended that the case should no longer be pursued, he was still the former premier.
In correcting that statement, Chair, there was no such report that the case should not be pursued. So I think we need to correct that. My recommendation was basically, if you feel that the case needs to be reopened, these are correct procedures that you need to follow because the complainant feel harassment. Yeah, so that is it. So, Chair, if you can repeat your question.
Yeah, just before that, I think Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐾𝐭 wants to give you her contact numbers. Yes.
I'll keep it. There are even numbers I have for members of this committee. I keep it for future reference.
No, Chair, I wanted to check. Okay. I wanted to check when Mr. Nkabinde is saying that frequently he would call Minister Mchunu. Yes. Okay. I'm just checking if they did talk with the case he was investigating up until the time he got to be appointed to be the Chief of Staff.
Chairperson, firstly, I will need to correct frequently. What I said, I kept contact with Minister Mchunu, even though it was not frequent.
So you say
Yes.
it was infrequent.
It was infrequent. Yes, yes. Yeah. And about the case, when I made that report, Chair, I did send a formal feedback letter to the complainant about the feedback of my investigation and my findings. And about the case, Honorable Chair, that was the last time we spoke about it. After that, we even never touched on it. Thank you, Chair.
How long did it take you to, or when did you start the investigation of the complaint? How long did it take you to conclude your report and submit it to the authorities?
Immediately after our visit with Mr. McBride, immediately I started with my investigation.
That was in 2017.
It was in 2017, and it took hardly a month to finalize it. Then I submitted the report. It was only about perusing document and interviewing relevant people. Then I submit my findings and recommendations. It was hardly a month, sir.
You also want to remind us that this is a case which the DPP has declined to prosecute 5 years previously.
That's correct, Chair.
Thank you. SC, you may proceed. What about the number?
I will be very glad.
And nothing beyond the number, Honorable 𝐬𝐻𝐾𝐭.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Mr. Nkabinde, you say at paragraph 26 of your statement that Minister Mchunu and I continued to have a relationship after the investigation, which over the year developed as we kept in contact.
That is correct, Chair.
So can you explain, because that seems to indicate something more than just infrequent contact with a person, with a high-profile person, or a person that might be of use to you in the future because of his high profile? But this describes a relationship. So what was that relationship? What is the nature of the relationship? Or the
Chair,
basis?
sorry, Chair, to interject. What I basically mean here is that even after a professional and official investigation, we never stopped talking to each other, even if it was not about the case anymore. That's what I was trying to mean here, that after the case is finalized, it did not end there for me to be in contact with him, even though it was not so frequent. But in general speaking, not necessarily there was a specific matter after that. It's general speaking.
Well, I think it is quite your job as a professional IPID investigator. You've interviewed him as a complainant. You've done your job. You now leave IPID. Fortunately for him, the case has now been resolved. But prior to you being introduced to him by McBride in 2017, you don't know him at all.
That's correct.
Once you complete your job, you seem to say that you just randomly contact him from time to time. What are you talking about? Politics? Football?
No, it's something, it's general things, like for instance, if I can make example, at one stage, I was in the north side of KZN. Then when I pass Mpangeni, I remember that there's a person I know here, if he's at home. Then he welcomed me. I came past by just to greet him and talk general things. There was absolutely nothing. In fact, there was even nothing. He was even out of government. There was nothing we could relate, except that I was the one who thought it fit to keep this contact of a person which I see him as a high regard.
Did you in your interaction with him, did you keep him informed of your own development, what you were doing, where you were working, and so on?
Not at all. As a result, he did not even know I even left IPID. He thought I was still with IPID because we were not. And Chair, if I can brief you, a nature of a person we are talking to, he talks very less. He's a person that you hardly even interact. He is a person of short words. He did not even know I left IPID. He thought I was still IPID because we were not discussing those personal things. He's a person that he got appointed as a minister of DPSA. You'll send that test, congratulations, minister. Then you leave it there. Those type of interaction, not necessarily, I'm not in politics, not necessarily what is it that we were a specific subject.
Yeah. You then also subsequently, and you deal with this from paragraph 31 onwards, in your statement. At paragraph 32, you say Minister Mchunu was appointed as the Minister of Water and Sanitation in 2021 through to 2024. During this time, I remained in contact with him. At the time, I already knew Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. I had been introduced to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi in 2017 by a colleague, and I worked with the task team at IPID, Mandla Mashlangu. Then in and this I wanted to raise with you, in early 2024, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi visited my house and asked that I accompany him to Mpangeni the next day. I agreed to go with him because I was planning to visit Minister Mchunu the next day, who is also based in Mpangeni.
That's correct, Chair.
So was that just a coincidence that you had planned to go to Mpangeni to visit Minister Mchunu when Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi also indicated that he would want to meet Minister Mchunu?
Chair, in the context of this, it was not that the next day I had a planned appointment with Minister Mchunu. When General Mkhwanazi wanted me to accompany him to Mpangeni area, then I just started that, oh, there's a person there that I was planning at one stage. It's been a while, go and see him. So if you want me to go there with you, let's rather pass by and I want to greet the minister, of which General had no problem, and if also the minister had no problem.
Can you tell us why Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi would want to meet the Minister of Water and Sanitation?
General Mkhwanazi has never wanted to meet the minister. We were going to Mpangeni area as friends, two of us, to do our things. Then while we were in Mpangeni, I said, let's go past. I checked, the minister is around. Let's go past and greet him. That's how General Mkhwanazi has never even said he wants to meet the minister. It was just that we are now at Mpangeni, then it clicked my mind that the minister's house is at Mpangeni, and it's been a while, I never even meet him. Then I said, no, let's go past there. And fortunately, the minister had no problem as well. Then we passed.
And you say at paragraph 33, in the middle of that paragraph, I went with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi to Mpangeni to attend to his errands,
That's correct, Chair.
as he had asked me, and we also stopped by at Minister Mchunu's house when you introduced him to Minister Mchunu.
That's correct, Chair.
What were those errands that you referred to?
Chair, I wrote it deliberately like this because it was personal stuff of General Mkhwanazi, where I was accompanied. General Mkhwanazi was a very close friend of mine. I think it's safe to say it was a boys' trip. Safe to say like that. Otherwise, me and him will get into trouble. Because I believe his wife and my wife are watching here. So I don't want to delve much.
So you can't tell us much more, is it personal?
Yeah, no, it was very personal. Things that we do with him are sometimes very personal.
So wasn't Minister Mchunu curious that the two of you're on a boys' trip? What are you doing coming to visit him?
He did not even ask, what are you doing here? He did not even know we were in Mpangeni for what.
Describe to us your relationship with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. It seems to be I can't hear.
Honorable members, a boy's trip is a boy's trip. Yes, so let's keep it straight and simple. That is what Mr. Nkabinde is saying, that let's just keep it straight and simple. May we proceed as...
So, Mr. Nkabinde, I was asking you, your relationship with General Mkhwanazi, and in light of what you said about being a boys' trip, it seems to be quite an intimate relationship, and you're nodding.
Very, very.
So describe to us that relationship that you had with him.
Chair, I can just give some few examples why I'm saying General Mkhwanazi is a very close friend of mine, which I even disclosed to the minister, that KZNPC is my friend. I can just give a few examples. First example, it's already on the table. He assisted me even to find a job while I was not employed. That's the first thing. Second part, General Mkhwanazi had a bereavement at his home in Pietermaritzburg, a death in his family. I flew down to KZN to support him. So when I arrived, General Mkhwanazi drove with me in my car during that funeral processes to the hall, to the funeral service, to the cemetery, just two of us, whereby a lot of police management, they were also there to support him. He even left his driver and he drove with me in my car, just two of us. As a result, even other police were saying, "Hey, are you close to this man?" I said, "Yeah, no, this is my bra." Then, so you will understand, Chair, I'm at your funeral and people supporting you, but you are driving in my car, just two of us. You're having a driver, you're having bodyguards, and you even left them. That, no, I'll drive with Cedrick. So that's a sign of how we close. And a second example, just to show how close we are. General Mkhwanazi wanted to build a house in his homestead at Impendle, KZN. He came to me to help him to design that house. We designed that house for him. So a private home with the security features, you can only design that thing with a person very close to you. And over and above that, the architecture to draw a design and a plan of that house, I'm the one who recommended. He used my architect to design that house. So I'm trying to show that, and there's a person who come often to my house, knows my family. I go to his house, I know his family. He come and visit me in my house, I go, we eat in one plate together. So it's a very close. There are things me and him, we go to the grave with. The way we are so close. Things that when he was doing a media briefing, when he was testifying in the Madlanga Commission, when he testified here, he never mentioned it himself. So we are very close.
So you describe your relationship with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi as very close.
That's correct.
Your relationship with Minister Mchunu seems not to have been anywhere near as close or intimate as it was with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi.
That's correct.
So because he told us that he was surprised, even shocked, at your appointment as Chief of Staff, because according to him, you're not qualified for the job. He doesn't understand how you could have been appointed. And to a level which was effectively a level of a Chief Director.
Chair, I heard him saying that. Firstly, what came to my mind is that my friend is angry that I recorded him. He's angry at me because a friend of mine, he assisted me to find a job. He would not do so without even knowing my qualification. He had to get my qualification, get my CV. We even laughed, me and him, that we've got a same qualification. I'm having a BTech degree, Mkhwanazi is having a BTech degree. We're having the same degree. We even laughed about it, that you are the PC, I've got the same degree like yours. So I think what I concluded is that, no, he's angry, that I recorded him, so he had to just say anything that will taint my image on that. But I appreciated that he only said that. His anger was very controlled. So you can't have a person find you a job and he come and say he does not know your qualification. How can you find someone a job without knowing his qualification?
Well,
So he was just angry. But we're still going to talk about that with him.
Yeah, the impression was also created by him that then he found you a job as a security guard, and you've now described something different.
No, he never said as a security guard. He said that a security,
It's a security
company.
firm, yes.
Firm, yes. Where in the security firm, there are different divisions.
Yeah.
He knows there I was responsible and heading a forensic. Because my duty, my qualification is investigation. So they even employed me based on that.
Yes.
That they wanted me to head their forensics.
Let's take Honorable Ngola.
Chair, thanks. Chair, was seated with an evidence here by our primary witness that alleges a lot of things against the witness in front of us. Now, we're offering the witness an ad alteram partem rule, but he seems to not be utilizing it because he speaks about, I'm glad that he only ended there. He controlled his anger, insinuating that there are things that General Mkhwanazi could have said, which are some things that are known between them. So I think it will be fair for both the inquisitorial process and the witness for him to detail as much as he can whatever he wants the committee to know so that it informs the findings of the committee. Thank you very much.
Did you hear what the honorable member is saying, Mr. Nkabinde?
That's correct, Chair.
Are you prepared to go beyond what you have said?
No, I'm not prepared. Like how he did, I'll follow suit.
Yeah. No, Honorable Ngola, if you listen to his earlier statement, he says the audience is too wide. And so he wants to keep it at that.
Chair, if I can just make example, I don't want to delve much into personal things, but where even General Mkhwanazi found me a job, his daughter is working there. So there are so much personal things between me and him. So I don't want to get into more personal stuff, me and him, because he also did not. So I don't want to come here like, he is still my friend. After all this thing, we're going to still sit down and say, yeah, when.
Hey, when be careful, you know, I can
Yeah,
record the
we
conversation.
don't- yeah, if you fight with my minister, leave me alone.
SC, let's proceed.
Honorable Chair.
You'll say them in the deathbed.
No, we're cruising nicely. SC, may we proceed? Honorable Malimo.
Chair, I'm not sure because I remember I'm struggling with this thing. I remember General Mkhwanazi said Nkabinde said he wants to introduce him to the minister, and that trip was for that purpose alone. And now Nkabinde is saying something different. Was General Mkhwanazi lying when he said you initiated the trip and said you wanted him to meet the minister? I even said to the minister, I suspect Nkabinde said the same thing to you, that he wants you to meet Mkhwanazi, and he said to Mkhwanazi, I want you to meet the minister. He was playing you guys. So was he lying when he said you initiated a trip to go, specifically to go and see the minister?
Thank you, Chair. I heard what General Mkhwanazi is saying, but for me, it was easily to understand. He was avoiding errands. He was not telling the truth. But I concluded that, no, maybe you will probe him and talk about his errands.
Are you satisfied, Honorable Member? Okay. SC, are you ready to proceed?
As a result, Chair, he is the one who came to fetch me at my house with his car to go.
On a boys' trip?
Sorry, sir?
On a boys'
Yes,
trip?
he's the one who came to my house and fetched me with his car, with his petrol.
SC?
To run an errand.
Yes, to show that
Go to the shop.
to show who's accompanying who.
Okay, if it's personal, then I'm not going to pursue that. It might be pursued when the honourable members ask you further questions. I was trying to follow a chronology that now in you visit, you very close friends with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, you only occasionally, very occasionally speak to the minister or to Minister Mchunu. How does it then happen that you end up being appointed as the Chief of Staff? We know from the Public Service Act and the regulations which are referenced when Minister Mchunu was giving his evidence, as a minister he's not obliged to advertise the post, so it's an internal process. You're not in the public service. How do you get to know that there is such a post? Who asks you to submit an application for the post, for the job, and what these qualifications are?
Thank you, Chair. As I've alluded in my previous paragraphs that I knew Minister Mchunu from 2017, and I knew him even when he was a minister of DPSA. Knowing him, we've never even talked about any employment. I knew him as a Minister of Water and Sanitation. And while he's also there, we've never talked. I even never asked him for an appointment, an employment. DPSA, Minister Mchunu is having his own chief of staff, which I believe he moved with his chief of staff to water and sanitation. He's having his chief of staff. And I was not even expecting, because I was having a sense that most of the principals, including himself, they move with their chief of staff to all the portfolios. I was also surprised when he called me. He said, "You saw I was appointed as a Minister of Police. I'm thinking of getting a chief of staff who at least understand the environment. If you are interested, please go and submit your CV and apply." So that what was it. I was not even expecting it. That's how it happened. I submitted as a nominated candidate. Then I've written 3 competency assessments. I submitted my pre-screening, my fingerprint, everything. The minimum requirement to be a chief director is an NQF7, which is a degree according to the DPSA guidelines, and a minimum of 5 years experience at a managerial level, of which all those qualification and experience I do have. I qualified. Then I availed myself, waiting for the outcome of HR processes, of which they then found me suitable. Then I was appointed.
And he was appointed in July of 2024, and you were appointed on the 1st of August 2024.
Yes, during July, it was all these HR processes, not for only myself and for other positions in his office.
Were you interviewed with other applicants?
No, he nominated only me.
So he nominated you?
He nominated me, yes. Then for HR to do all the processes for suitability, if the person nominated is suitable. And according to the guidelines, on page, Chair, my annex chair of CMN1.
Yes.
You will see that the 3rd page, Employment Management Circular 47 of 2024. It's got a log of DPSA. It's on the reverse page. It's on the reverse page of 2nd page. Then we'll go to the 3rd page. And in that circular, Chair, 6.4.
Yes.
Here, the DPSA guidelines is specific as to what the HR process needs to be followed. It's having a nominated official in terms of DPSA. A nominated official should complete a Z83 form, which in this case, SAPS is having a prescribed form for senior management post, which I completed. B, 𝐤𝐻𝐫𝐤𝐻𝐿 certificates. You must have been completed and successfully be in possession of 𝐤𝐻𝐫𝐤𝐻𝐿 certificate, which 𝐤𝐻𝐫𝐤𝐻𝐿 certificate is here in the bundle. This one.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and I think we
Yeah.
can
So
see
this
that.
is one, then certificate of
complied with all
yes,
those- all
yes,
those-
I complied with all this, is it A to F? And in the E, if you look in the E, the position of director, inherent qualification is NQF7. Experience is 5 years of experience at the MIGLI managerial. The chief director, which is my post, inherent qualification is NQF7, experience 5 years experience at a senior managerial level. So I've qualified I met all this requirement in terms of DPSA chair.
Chair, shall we adjourn for a short round?
Yeah, no, I reconsidered. I understood that it will be a marathon if we run from 9 to 1 without a break. It will be extremely unfair on every one of us. So let's take the question from Honorable Sangoni before we break for 15 minutes.
Sorry, SC, I thought you were leaving this issue. I'm not sure if you're still on the subject, because I just wanted to...
Sorry, Honorable Chair, Honorable Sangoni.
I'm saying that I wanted to just clarify something if you are going to be leaving this matter of the appointment process.
Yes, I was, the appointment process, I was not going to, I was
Okay.
going to pursue
No, let me-
some other angle, but if
Okay.
there's any, in relation to the formal requirements.
Yeah, no, I wanted to check, Mr. Nkabinde, you said that you were the only nominated official, right, for the position of chief director, which is how I understand it works as well. But Minister Mchunu said he nominated a number of you. He was even prepared to give us a list. There was a panel, you were interviewed. Was Minister Mchunu being generous with a truth that does not exist there?
Chairperson, my understanding, Minister Mchunu nominated several people in several positions. All the positions in his private office, he's the one who nominated. He nominated.
Sorry, Mr. Nkabinde, I normally don't interject. That's not what he said, because we only spoke about chief of staff. He said he nominated a number of people and there was a panel, because we even asked him who was in the panel because we wanted to get a sense of who interviewed you. So Minister Mchunu did not tell us the truth in that regard. Am I right?
No, he only nominated me. When I was listening that, I just thought he's speaking about the list of people that he nominated. And then I also understood when he talks about interviews and all, because I know he does not even get involved in those things. Maybe he talks about the normal recruitment process, because he does not even know who is even dealing with those things until he receives a report back that is this person fine, no criminal record, is he qualified, then they advise him.
Can for the
So,
record,
just before, so you did not go through interview sessions?
Chair, as I was reading these guidelines, in these guidelines, there is nowhere we nominated people, they go for interviews. The HR, they were just following the guidelines of DPSA. We
Mr.
nominated people, they don't go.
Mr. Nkabinde, did you go through interview sessions?
No, there was no interview, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
just to end on
No
that,
interviews, yes.
can I, Honorable Chair, just concur with the recollection of Honorable Sangoni, that Minister Mchunu mentioned that there was a panel, there was an interview process. Although it was all internal, you were recommended and he supported it because in terms of the Act and the regulation, he has an absolute discretion, and that's how the process unfolded.
Yes, Chair. Hence, my comment on that is that one, he nominated several people, but in various positions. And two, he does not get involved in those HR processes I will assume that he was talking about a generic HR process. He think this must have been done, because it does not get involved in that process. But there was no interviews in all of us.
Okay, honorable members will come back at 20 minutes past 11.